Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremy, and welcome to Strange Radios. Time for an album review, Windswept, the Onlooker. Windswept are a Ukrainian black metal band, sort of a side project of the members of Drutk, and this is their second full-length album. Before we get into anything else, I just want to touch on the very title, or the very first track. It's a short instrumental introduction. And it's really cool. It's got this music box sort of old school sound quality to it. But the curious thing is the melody, which I thought I had heard somewhere before. Maybe I have. But I spent a couple days here trying to figure out where the hell I'd heard this melody from. And as best as I can tell, it's actually the end theme to the anime Castle in the Sky. which is just bizarre. But I feel like the melody has been used elsewhere. Anyways, it's a very interesting opener. It's sort of sets a good mood for the record. And in terms of just the sound of the record, I mean, this thing sounds desolate. It sounds expansive. It sounds gray and just downtrodden. There are vocals on this album which are delivered in just like this very desperate, very wretched way. They're just bone-chilling. But the vocals are minimal. They don't play a major role on the record. For the most part, the vocals just sort of come in every once in a while. They punctuate this musical landscape that's being put forth. And for the most part, the music's just allowed to carry the songs by itself, and it works wonderfully. This is pretty well straightforward black metal. You have the blast beats, you have the tremolo picked guitars, you have the wretched vocals. But for me, this hits a sweet spot in black metal. What I like about black metal is where it's not quite raw black metal, but it's not overproduced black metal either. It sits right in the middle of it. Because the problem, like, I like raw black metal, but like from a sort of from an intellectual standpoint. But the production values, I don't know why they decide that it isn't necessary, because you don't need to add like a full professional studio, but if you just upgrade your sound a little bit, it adds a lot of weight to that type of music. And that's what Windswept has here. It's raw black metal, but it's got weighty production behind it. The drums are okay, but in one of the best compliments I can give black metal drumming, like raw black metal drumming, they're not distracting. They don't sound bad. They don't take your ears away from anything else going on. They service the song and they do it well. The guitars are like melodic razor blades just cutting through here. And if you strip away the distortion and the abrasiveness of what's going on, you're left with some haunting melodies that these guitars and these vocals are helping to sort of dig up out of this just wretched atmosphere. There's an instrumental in the middle of this record called Gustav Mahler's Plague. No, wait. Gustav Mayring's Prague. Which again, despite the fact that it's an instrumental, it works well. This album is really good at letting the music speak for itself and creating this world. If you're familiar with any old Russian literature, like Dostoevsky or Tolstoy or stuff like that, the way they describe sort of the Russian environment at that time is how this album sounds like, if that makes any sense. It sounds like Russia. It sounds like an old Russian novel in sound form. It's got the desolation. It's got the sort of bleakness and the darkness of it. And yet it's captivating. It's wholly captivating. The one thing about this album that really kind of irks me, though, is that the songs end very abruptly. Not all of them, but the majority of them just sort of just end. They just stop all of a sudden. And it's really weird. And particularly on a couple tracks where it's just jarring to a fault. Not to mention the very final track. The end of the album is swift. Like, it comes out of nowhere. The song's just sort of going along in its tremolo guitars. And then that music box comes in, and within a few seconds, the metal has dropped out, and it's just the music box for a couple seconds, and then the album's done. It's just like derails the entire progress of the song up to that point. You know, and that happens a couple times on this record. It's a little distracting, but the songwriting on this album, I think, is fantastic, phenomenal. The ambiance they have going here is really, really cool. I'm digging this record. I'm going to give it an 8.0 out of 10. Highly recommended. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Strange Radios. Stranger, adios.